to the AGF podcast. I'm here with my man Kevin Williams. Super excited for this. We are actually in Nashville, Tennessee. We met up here at an AGF. It was an absolutely wild weekend. We haven't even started the tournament yet. But man, Kevin Williams is a black belt. He's a personal friend of mine. We've actually cross-trained a lot. But the biggest thing that I'm interviewing him about is he's the 2019 and 2020 #1 ranked black belt for the American Grappling Federation. Yeah, he's got great jiu-jitsu. If you know AGF, you probably know Kevin Williams. He's been everywhere from Florida to New York to Chicago to Dallas. You know, like he's been all over the United States with us, and super excited. Another thing I'd like to say about, you know, and just as a reminder for later, is the opportunity I get to watch people develop their games being a tournament promoter. Like I've watched you, when did you start going with this? Like blue belt or something, right? White belt, yeah. And you know, same thing, you know, going through the ranks, being able to watch people progress on the competition mats, even when you're not a coach. Like as a tournament promoter, I run across all kinds of people. I mean, let alone fads in jiu-jitsu itself. You know, the honey hole or the berimbolo, you'll see those things come about and then stay in the promotions, you know. But that's the game itself. You get to watch individuals like you compete and develop their game as well. So super excited. I guess we'll start out from the beginning. Tell them where you're from and, you know, how you started out. Tell us a little bit about your journey.
So I'm from...
Loud voice, though. Loud voice.
Talking voice. I'm from Oklahoma City, and I originally started training with... I started doing MMA first, and but my training was... it was crazy. It was MMA geared, but I wanted more like jiu-jitsu, but the training I was getting was kind of crazy. It was not reckless, but we were still coming up. The gym was coming up, so we were all figuring it out together. But I took a few injuries that kind of steered me towards jiu-jitsu, and it just kind of stuck with me. I feel like I took to it faster than anything.
And you I know when because you just recently relocated to Arkansas, but when you were in Oklahoma City, you taught Muay Thai and MMA and all that as well.
I taught MMA, kickboxing, jiu-jitsu,
yeah,
basic boxing, you know, basic wrestling, all of it.
Did you not have a desire to be like a UFC champ, or you just liked MMA, or wanted to try a couple?
I think for me it was more about seeing if I can do it. I did it, you know, but it just wasn't. I didn't have that drive for it. You know, it was fun at first, but then I took a couple injuries, like I said, my knees, like from reckless MMA wrestling, you know, and
Scramble City.
Yeah, Scramble City, and like I still may dip back into MMA before I like quit competing, but you know, jiu-jitsu has always been that driving force.
Yeah, cool. Well, so you started out MMA, and then you know, you said you wanted to go into jiu-jitsu. Obviously, you progressed through the ranks, and we got to watch you do that. What was Blue Belt Kevin's game? Blue Belt Kevin. What was that? We'll go into that more. With blue, purple, brown Kevin.
Blue Belt Kevin, man, I was trying to prove to, because of where I had come from. Like, I wanted to show everyone, like, yo, I can do this.
Jiu-jitsu, you mean?
Yeah, I wanted to show everyone I can do jiu-jitsu. So, like, anybody that I fought at Blue was like, it was me proving a point, you know. Mm-hmm. So, and I think I only lost a couple at Blue. I lost the quarterfinals at Worlds, and then I lost Abu Dhabi Pro Trials. But I won pretty much everything else.
Yeah. Would you say do you recall certain phases in your game?
Yeah. So, like when I started realizing that I had a game was at Blue Belt. Like my first Blue Belt tournament was Chicago IBJJF Open, and I won it. But I went out there with like ankle picks and Uchimata. That was my takedown game, and with close guard was my.
Rick James wasn't a thing yet.
No, Rick James. That didn't. the Rick James didn't come about.
We'll get into that. We'll get into that.
But like Blue Belt Kevin wanted just to prove, that I could do it with, and I had a game too, and like my passing game. What fueled that was like within the association that I was in, there was always chatter about my passing because I at the time I was just speed passing, leg drag passing, over under, double unders, knee slice. I know a knee slice every now and then, but I was beating everyone with agility, so I stuck to it, and like I couldn't smash certain areas because of certain injuries, so I had to do like misdirection and speed passing.
And just real quick, guys, we did have a switch in the day on the AGF Nashville tournament, so we are at a skate park that also has a music room, but also has a quinceañera going on in the other room. But that quinceañera was not going on yesterday, but when we had this originally scheduled. So bear with us in the background so you guys could just know that before we get all the way to the end and explain it. But that's what me and Kevin are trying to talk over. But it is quite the interesting place that we're in. Rocket Town for all you guys out there that know Nashville. So you started working through your game into a game. I know that you like systematic stuff. Did you start drawn to that stuff early, or in systems, or did you catch on to that later?
I was drawn to it early because I started competing at white belt. I hit the ground running, but I would be at these tournaments and these coaches are yelling out all this other stuff I've never heard of, and I'm like, what are they talking about? And where I started, the jiu-jitsu was like MMA based and like fundamental. I'm not saying anything against fundamentals, but it was just like scissor sweep, double underpass, no bolos, no head and arm chokes, like Peruvian, like the stuff, Kimura traps. So I took it upon myself to I was studying like who was doing what, and I wanted to implement that in my game, and because I wasn't getting it from there. So the way that I learned is I need like a 1, 2, 3 reason why.
Yes.
And that's how
common reaction based stuff. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I know you're talking about blue belt, but I still feel like you leg drag and speed pass people just fine. There's nothing wrong with it.
I do. I mean, that's my game, and I kind of have a system down, But now I'm more, slower.
The more I got to know you and talk to you and train with you, I did realize that some of those injuries, especially to your knee, played a factor on how you do move like that and the way that you can float on people. It's definitely interesting. Just the compression of his knee can make it like his knee on belly and his back floating. What do we call it? Body surfing.
Yeah,
is awesome. What about purple and brown belt, Kevin?
Purple and brown belt, Kevin. That was me gearing up to win IBJJFs. I wanted to win IBJJF. So at purple, it was about scoring points, like learning the game, like the competitive game, playing advantages, playing the border, playing the refs. That was purple at Kevin, and I don't think I got many submissions at purple belt because I was
learning the points game.
Yeah, I was playing points, and I think I got once I developed an understanding of points, I think I switched the gear towards like traps and cul-de-sacs and systems. And
yeah.
Stuff like that.
And I wouldn't even just call it like you were saying, fundamentals and stuff like that. I wouldn't just say that it's only for MMA or basic jiu-jitsu, but when you have advanced jiu-jitsu in your life or like systems like you're talking about, I feel like that those 1, 2, 3s that you're talking about, people learn a lot better that way, and it's easy to teach that way, and it's just a lot better to have the systems, and it's not always just like the Kimura trap system. It's teaching that way too, and having that helps you get to the next step, And some people talk about, you're saying I was playing points. And in my head, while you were saying that, I was saying, well, it's not really just points; it's position.
Yeah.
So you're figuring out your positions first. We've seen the waves of stuff coming along right now, and going. You got the sub-only guys, you got the the guys want to, you know, play points, but I don't think it's really that sometimes when people say, oh, these guys are playing for points.
Right.
You're never going to change that out of the fighter. You know what I mean? And I've seen plenty of people, and you've seen plenty of people lose because of rules.
Yeah.
So if you don't know the rules and you can't score,
Doesn't matter how good you are.
yeah, and you know, you can't always tap everybody. You've got to at least be able to score on a dude.
That's true.
You know, and so I think it's a very important part of the development.
Oh yeah.
You know, and did you start reffing for us at Purple or
I
Brown?
started reffing at Purple, and I think that made it easier to understand.
When you first start reffing, you kind of go, wow, why do these people do this?
Mm-hmm. Like, what are you doing?
They should be
bro?
doing it. Yeah, exactly. Like in your head, just, what are you doing? No. Oh, he just did that.
Oh gosh, I've had to stop myself, like, from saying,
From telling
"Yo,
stuff?
Don't
Yeah.
do that, you know,
Yeah.
as a coach, you know. But yeah, as a picking up reffing, I was coaching already, and I was competing, and then reffing just added another dimension to like, my jiu-jitsu, and I think it really helped it.
I do too. I think it's a great part of people's journey, being able to ref. I think that if you have a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and you've never reffed, you should probably go ref.
Right.
I mean, just one, to give back to the community. I mean, I'm kind of old school in the sense of like, if you get a black belt, we don't get stripes or any more belts. Well, at least not till coral. So like, and technically some of those stripes are not just time, but you're supposed to get back to the jiu-jitsu community. You're still supposed to do something even if you're not a competitor, those kinds of things. So I think it will also help people to ref, you know, and let's talk about this. We have gotten known pretty well for good refs. You're definitely one of them. People can nitpick. We're all going to be wrong at a certain point, but people can nitpick you, and you're like, no, it was this, and this, and you know, most of the time you're right. Like, you know, I don't even question it most of the time. To be honest, people are like, who's reffing your match? I'm like, oh, okay, you know, like I know there's a few of you guys that are my A squad, you know, and a lot of times it's grandmas and moms and stuff that, you know, or upset coaches that are just trying to be a lawyer for their student instead of actually, you know.
Part of it is trying to make your student feel better, trying to save parents in the gym. Like, I get it.
Yeah. Well, that's why we got the beanbag now.
Oh, yeah.
First instant replay in jiu-jitsu. I can't wait till we get to a bigger stage and we have the actual instant replays going for the calls. We'll do that on the big mat and the big events and stuff. So you go into brown belt and you really start making waves at brown belt. I think we started training brown.
Yeah.
We started training brown. And when I say we trained guys, I mean, I think I did a few seminars at his gym. He did a few seminars at my gym. We've done a few privates, but we're also friends. We've cross-trained. He's come to my annual camps. We chit-chat about jiu-jitsu a lot. You know, we are both massive truck fans. I will say that I came up with Truck the World first, but Kevin uses it, and I don't complain, okay? Because he's got more trucks.
I got it from you.
Did you?
Yeah.
He's probably trucked more people in competition than my 10 lifetimes put together. You know, I got a banana split the other day at Nogi Nationals, and I think I got a split and a twister, you know, a couple of things, you know, but some of you guys are so far ahead of me on that, you know. And but you're an inspiration. So you've in my network, in my people, and with AGF, we're coming back to that Rick James.
Right.
Was that brown belt or that started black?
I was brown belt. It was the first time I hit it, I was fighting Daniel Roberts. Actually, that event, I hit my first Rick James in competition heel hook. That's when I made the actual switch to like
Stuff from the gym into the tournament.
Like implementing my game. Like, this is my actual game, you know. And I brought it out, and it's sub oriented, you know, traps oriented. But the Rick James I busted it out versus Daniel Roberts, and I practiced it for like a solid year. Like every competition class, my goal was like, I'm gonna hit the Rick James on this person or this person. Like, I'm gonna hit it, and if I can hit it on like my last guy who was pretty much right under me. If I hit on him, like I can hit it on anybody. Like,
that's what I do. I tell people don't don't put moves on YouTube. Don't teach moves. Don't do something until you work your way up through the ranks. Sometimes it can be hard when you're like a blue belt because you only got white and blue to deal with. But as you get purple, brown, black, you should definitely test it on a lot of people. You know, like when I put out YouTubes or instructional, was like I don't put out anything that has not been tested. You know, I saw that highlight of you at American Nationals, AGF Nationals was probably 2 years ago now or something like that because of COVID. But and you were super excited when you came up from those leg locks. Mm-hmm. Was it that event? Or was it earlier?
No,
probably
earlier. It was
before that. Before that. You came up super excited at some of those leg locks. I think it was leg locking dudes left and right.
That was that tournament. My goal was to submit as leg lock as many people as I can. But I was like in a leg lock trance, so that's all I can think about. But that was my goal, and I won the final with it.
You do go for the inside heel hook?
I do.
Some people go honey hole, 411, leg lace, whatever you want. Inside heel hook, the saddle. Some people go. Now you roll like as not just jiu-jitsu, like exercise rolling, but the way that you physically roll over and sacrifice yourself. Like you do sacrifice leg locks, and it's hard to explain to people, you know, exactly what you're talking about because it's not like I'm falling back for a triangle. Like it's a legit setup. It's not just jumping for a toe hold and half guard or something. And so you started really doing things because, like earlier, you were saying you wanted to emulate some of the popular people, you know, right? Which is totally understandable, especially in the beginning. But I feel like watching you started to do a lot of your own stuff. Yeah, that's what made you really noticeable.
I started noticing that, okay, this guy's doing this, but I have to do it this way, and it works better with this system that I have instead of that system that they're using. And it's kind of like absorbing what's useful, you know?
Yeah.
Discarding what's not. And I just take bits and pieces. And I think that's the key with anyone, like, because your jiu-jitsu is your jiu-jitsu. You know, you can't be like Hoffa, you can't be like Bruno. But
you're years late.
Yeah.
You're emulating can sometimes screw you because they're already so gone, you know.
So you have to like really dive into your own game and see.
How do you play like that? Do you put yourself in the exact same position with a person and just keep trying to roll from there, or do you try and hit a particular move on everybody? Like, how do you start to experiment?
So I have like certain goals at each position. Like when I'm rolling, if I'm on my back, maybe I want to straight check it. If I'm playing guard, I'm gonna do half butterfly. If I'm passing, then I'm gonna side smash, knee cut. Like I have like more than just like this particular goal. I have a bunch of different goals that I work on.
Nice. And you mentioned half butterfly. You recently did have an injury. True, like is it the same as like Gordon Ryan's and stuff like that?
Mine was meniscus, and it came from trying to force the butterfly. Like the guy was sprawling back, and actually it was the first event back after quarantine. So like me in my head, I wanted to sweep this guy. I wanted to invert and leg lock, but he was sprawling so hard, and I was trying to force it, and that's what like popped my meniscus. Really trying to overhook butterfly. He was literally just laying down. That's how he played.
Ouch.
Yeah.
But you're good now. You're back.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm back now, and I'm still playing the same game, but I haven't. I think I was hectic. There was a lot of pressure. It was literally the first event back from
I prefer house arrest.
Yeah, the house arrest.
Lockdown, as some people like to water it down with. But
so, yeah, like in my head, I'm like, oh, I'm part of history. Like I'm fired up about that.
Yeah,
you know?
For sure.
But
was that with us? Or was that just your tournament?
No, it was Fight to Win.
Oh, it was the Fight to Wins, yeah. Now let's get back. Since you mentioned Fight to Win with our friend Seth, you know, so a lot of people don't realize that Seth was in the middle of our tournaments the first year that Fight to Win Pro was around. He had Fight to Win Pro in the center and AGF on the outside. Him and I ended up going in opposite directions because of marketing and our styles of business. No beef at all with Seth. He's actually helped me out a ton over the years. Him and I almost at every tournament get people who mistake me for him and him for me, and that kind of. I've even sent him selfies before. You know, people ask me questions, and I'm like, just apply on the website. You know, I can tell them it's funny, and I have the same stuff will happen from Seth sometimes. But Seth was being, and I just moved to Florida, but I was in Texas, and Seth was in Texas,
and he started foot sweeping everyone.
That's actually
Where it started.
That video, like
where he hit the guy on his head.
Yeah,
Nogi Worlds or something like that, right?
It was gi pants.
Was it gi? Yeah.
Like, gi pants purple. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was pretty good, and he does it a lot.
Yeah.
And so then it motivates us. I'm sure you've probably talked to other people that you've motivated that are trying to do that, right? I mean, literally, my son, my black belts, Brock, like, you just name it. I'm like, they're trying to foot sweep it. I'm going to get Rick James today. And I'm like, Gavin, do you even know who Rick James is? You know what I mean? But I'll play some music for him. But, so they're really trying to hit it, and it's really cool. Just something so small. You didn't invent it. You did it. You made it a little bit popular or very popular in our area of business and in AGF for sure. So it's really cool to see something that affects so many people, Going back to what we were talking about from AGF Nogi Nationals in April, I hit a Rick James.
Yeah.
I will admit this though. I can't hit it like you do from a distance almost. Like you trick people like you're walking in and then boop, you foot sweep them. I engage in heavy head and arm clinching and make them forget that I'm about to foot sweep them.
Man, the reason why it works so well is because of like that clinching reflex. Someone comes in your range, tie the head, or grab.
Everyone's so used to magnetizing to each other.
And the reason why it works is because when you do that, your upper body commits to that just a little bit, right? But your feet are retracting, going backwards. So because I hopped in, your reflex to tie the head, also your reflex to retreat. So you're leaning forward, and like if you lean forward just a little bit,
one foot in front of the other too. Yeah.
So right before they tie your head, like that's the best time.
I feel like you can do it from 6 feet away though.
So I worked on timing their steps. Also right before they clinch, and then like forcing it like a judo style.
I have a picture. All my people know it. I don't know if you know or not, but I have the AGF picture on my wall of us competing at AGF in the gi, and we're on top of our heads. We're all the way on top of our heads, in guard basically, and everything else I'm winning, right? And everyone's like, "Why did you put that picture up, coach?" And I'm like, "Well, to be honest, I went against Kevin because I truly haven't gone against a lot of good friends, and sometimes my students are forced to do that. So I didn't want them to do. I didn't want to ask of them what I haven't done, and so that's another reason we went. And I tell people, I said, man, jiu-jitsu is about having fun. It's about techniques. Kevin and I both know each other's games, and it was the wildest match ever. And
exchange.
Yeah, and it was a lesson to me, like, focus. You guys had trained. Like I went for things I shouldn't have gone. But you know how it is, like. You're like, why not try it on this dude? So it was more like that. But I knew at some points you wanted to foot sweep me. I know some points you wanted to half full guard and come up for 2 points with me. Like, it was all, and then we upside down, we're flying over here. I was upside down on a crucifix thing going out. Like, it was quite entertaining, but it was definitely a memorable time for me. And, also gave me more confidence. I started competing a lot more at that time. I also got sober of alcohol, which really helped compete a lot more. I mean, that was like my 5th tournament in a row. That was also the time that I did 4 divisions. I will not do that again.
Cortez. And...
I had Nogi, Derek Lamos, I think is his last name. And it was like, usually when I do AGF, I'll get a match in. Just like you, maybe you get a second match because we're working. We can't go do 4 divisions and be gone all day. Man, props to all you guys out there that are doing 4 divisions. Now, I will say this though, y'all doing 4 divisions without being up at 5 o'clock in the morning working the tournament the whole day. So and setting up the night before and driving from wherever we came from. But that's not a major excuse, but it's just a reason why I haven't done so many divisions. And and I tried to go. I literally drove up to Oklahoma City that time to go compete only, and like, I'm not gonna work. Not true. Everyone was asking me every 30 seconds, "Hey Brandon, can you help me with this? Can you help me with this?" And I was like, I thought I was wearing my team t-shirt, and I was pointing at Chris, y'all go talk to Chris. It didn't work out. I ended up working all day, so I realized that I can't do that at my own tournament, So I'll stick to the one and offs, or I'm gonna have to like go with the boys and go somewhere else,
And yeah, so with the excitement of black belt with the Rick James, you have gone towards excellent transitions from the bolos and the truck. I mean, you're hitting like fake banana split truck attacks and landing in triangles and
have a whole neat system.
yes, it's awesome. People, where did you get? Is that just from studying again, or did you see? I know Hoffa has that in crazy triangle.
So yeah, it started with like I started boloing and trucking at the same time. Then I realized how similar they are. They're like cousins, basically. And then Hoffa did that triangle. He seat belted. The guy tried to like sit back to butterfly, but Hoffa did the roll through, let go, and hit the triangle. I think it was an accident, but it was like, okay, it happened. So
it's possible.
It's possible.
Yeah.
So I broke that down for a while, and then I didn't realize that I was implementing it into my game until I hit the fake truck. I started like bailing on the truck to hit other stuff. Like, oh, the arm is there.
Not a fake truck. Think strike. It's a feint.
It's a feint.
It's a truck feint.
Yeah, it's a feint.
It's a feint.
Like, a lot of my game is feints, or like making you. But anyways, yeah, I started
mentally distracting.
Yeah. I hit that truck, that triangle, and I was able to do that consistently. I broke it down, and then I realized, oh, I can do that from the bolo too. You can bail the same way. Oh, you can do. And then I started saddling, and then I tied the saddle and the bolo and the truck together, and you can literally reverse all those into each other.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But
good connection there.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. And so you've been with AGF a long while. And I know that we do a lot in Oklahoma, Tulsa and Oklahoma City, so I know we're close to you. But there's a lot of other tournaments. And I'm not just asking you to, boast about us, but you do choose to travel with us, not just referee. I mean, there's other tournaments out there that get paid more. There's other people who don't. There's there's that kind of, but there is a vibe with AGF, and a certain point of, or not point, but a level of jiu-jitsu, I think, with AGF compared to some other tournaments. But what is it about AGF that like keeps you going back?
Well, I think the rule set is really, really like simple. It's clear cut. This is what happens. You get rewarded for it. And I like that the AGF is more popular it's growing more popular amongst the people, the jiu-jitsu people, and there aren't many tournaments out there with that type of respect. I mean, there are a ton of tournaments, but there aren't that many that vibe with the people. Like it's AGF is for the people. Like whatever the people want. Like they literally take surveys on what you guys want, and they implement it into their system. And pretty much like everything AGF is written and directed by the AGF owner. So it's really personal, and I like that.
Yes, I do think that it helps that Chris and I are black belts. Mm-hmm. It helps that I'm a massive jiu-jitsu fan. It helps that I've taught all over the world. Mm-hmm. That's why we got into Europe first, was because we had support from my affiliates and from people that I know and have taught in Europe. Hopefully we get to Brazil and Australia soon with this COVID stuff, but I definitely think that being able to help people evolve, or help people helping us evolve the tournaments, helps people be more happy. It also gets a realistic place of what people like, instead of just like, oh, you're only going to get this or you're only going to get that with that tournament. So it helps a lot when we have some opportunity to adapt and change, and then you have the market and the scene. So now we got YouTube live stream now, and we got that super mat, 45-foot mat, 42-foot, sorry. And so, yeah, we got Masters coming up. American Masters Cup is the day after the New Orleans BJJ Championship, and obviously in New Orleans, July 10th weekend. You coming to that one, right?
The New Orleans Masters
yes.
Cup, yeah. That one, and then Puerto Rico the next week.
Puerto Rico, 2 weeks later.
2 weeks later.
2 weeks later, yeah.
So,
yeah. I mean, in your division, I think you're, favored. Talking about, favorites in terms of who's going to be in that division, that kind of stuff. But
I'm really excited for the Masters. I figured New Orleans was a good spot. People like to go to New Orleans, you know.
I know New Orleans will bring out some tough competition, you know, because you got Knudsen out there. I'm looking forward to a match with him.
With who?
Wayne Knudsen.
Oh, Knudsen, yeah, Knudsen,
yeah. Looking forward to a match with him. Like, we had a match in Nogi, but my finger was broken, and we need a mulligan, bro. But,
we need a mulligan.
But I love Wayne, but I want to fight him again. And then there's Raposo's out in the area, and then
Mancuso and those guys.
Josh Mancuso, I really love to fight him. Where you at, bro? But
all good guys.
Yeah, all good guys. But I want to, you know, fight all those guys. So.
We'll definitely have some people coming in too. I know we've got some registrations coming, and just Masters. It will be Gi and Nogi, but we'll have it live streamed as well too. Really excited about some of those. We've created now Gi and Nogi seasons. We've created, you know, so we just had Nationals in Gi. We're gonna have Nationals, we had Nationals in Nogi in April. We're having it in the fall, and then we'll have, you know, Kids Worlds and Kids Nogi Worlds. We're really excited about that, especially the Gi one. And then we have the Masters. But Puerto Rico, like you said, is also something that's very exciting. You see, we're doing some of those documentaries. If you guys haven't checked out our YouTube, check out our YouTube.
I can't wait to get down there and check out the culture.
The videographer just sent me like a 14-minute clip. Well, the first episode was like 5. And this episode is like 14 minutes. And, you know, it just shows coffee and beach and more than just jiu-jitsu, you know. So I'm really excited about that. Something I did say in the interview in that video was I think that I was hosted well enough by Eddie and his son around the island and just that I think I'll be a good host to other people, you know. And so you won American Nationals with us, and for those watching, if you win, you get a flight to our European Championships. No Europe going on right now, so we're flying Kevin to Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
I've already got Masters and black belt dudes that were asking for matches, and I was like, I got some people coming because I know Laborde's coming. He's not quite black belt yet, but he's a good grappler, brown belt. But got him, got you, got a few other people. I'll compete down there, you know, so it'll be fun. And I really do think it will be something that we could do more than once. You know, I would like to do 2 or 3 a year. A couple in San Juan and one in Ponce would be fun. And get to show you guys a little bit different in culture. Like, it is an American territory, but
It's a different culture.
yeah, it's like Guam or Hawaii. It's a different people, a race, for lack of better words. But you know, but they are Americans. But I believe they're Puerto Ricans first.
Right.
You know, just to, you know, hope people don't get mad at me for saying that. But saw a whole lot of Puerto Rican flags. Didn't see any American ones. But yeah, it was very interesting. Went all over there. Went to several schools and saw some cool places. So that'd be very exciting to take you and some of the guys there. You know, that'll be super fun. Yeah, man. And so you have any other plans? Or actually, let's back up. Let's talk about you moving. You train with Rafael Lovato Jr. out of Oklahoma City. How long were you in Oklahoma your whole life?
Yeah, I grew up in Oklahoma.
You grew up in Oklahoma?
I spent 9 months in Arkansas for a job, but yeah, I pretty much grew up in Oklahoma City.
So this is your first move. Well, I guess drop court technically is kind of a move, but we're an adult now. We're a little different.
I was a teenager then. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, I switched there. I left my association because of, you know, some stuff. Well, we were bumping heads, so we went different directions. But I wanted to connect with Rafael because, you know, he's Oklahoman, you know, and
winningest American.
Yeah, like the American GOAT. So, and I wanted to be a part of that, you know, and they were pretty open and they were welcoming. Everyone knew me already, so it was an easy fit.
He's rocking that timeless jiu-jitsu slogan.
Yeah, and now that my goal is to embody that because I've been like traps and, you know, other things, and he pointed out to me, he's like, you don't get any solid positional submissions like from mount. And just thinking about it, I can't remember any submission from out, maybe an armbar from at blue belt because I beat someone really quick, you know, to mount. But just thinking back, I haven't gotten any submissions from mount. So like I shifted the focus of my passing and working on my guard, but the passing was easier to implement because I had already been working on slowing down my passing and cutting through the guard. And
it was good to see you the other day get a cross collar choke from mount, but you started the choke from passing.
yeah, started from passing, like using that passing to open up, using the grip to open up passing, and vice versa.
I'm sure Lovato liked it.
Yeah.
It looked a little
Like,
Lovato-esque.
Yeah, I wanted to do that for that, just to show him, like, I really wanna, be part of the.
I've never trained with Lovato at any extent, but I have studied him. I've watched him. I look up to him. He's at most of our tournaments. His team wins state championships in Oklahoma. Obviously, he's a very big presence in Tulsa and Oklahoma City whenever we have competitions there. But I feel like, now, you may correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like Lovato tries to pass to the mount instead of side control.
Yeah, that's it.
MMA and jiu-jitsu, the results are better, and the mentality of being broken underneath the bottom.
Oh gosh.
That this dude's just gonna go to mount,
Oh, yeah.
and he can, and that relentlessness can wear on people.
His pressure is just him being generous with his weight, and he's so calm about his pressure. It's crazy. But yeah, his philosophy is mount and to drown you in him, until he forces a submission or you make a mistake right into a submission.
Yeah.
Usually like head and arm or the arm bar, because of like the way he controls mount, the way you're either forced to fight for air or defend your choke or arm, you're like baiting right into what he wants.
It's an interesting approach too. It's an excellent approach, especially I like it a lot for MMA because it leads you to mounting and pounding, and you can. And obviously he won a Bellator belt and has trained MMA, and it works great for MMA. In terms of the point system for jiu-jitsu, you're scoring 7 when you pass the guard to mount, but and if you put your foot back in a guard and you pass the mount again, you're up 14. It's like, dang. And so in terms of the sport, it does great. In terms of the end result, it does great. In terms of the suffering, it does great.
Oh, gosh. That's the worst part. That's the biggest part, the suffering, because it's his instructional is devastating passing, and there couldn't be like a better term for it.
And I was saying, it was interesting, but where I have been taught a lot, and what I believe a lot in is, and a lot of black belts will tell you, that the back is king.
Yeah.
Right? And Lovato's drives to the mount a lot more. I don't know if it's the weight class, his size, or he just jams with it and likes it, and the point system, all that kind of stuff works out well.
His system's just like explosive.
Big system
his
leads to the mount all the time.
Just expose the mount, or the back too, but the mount, it just.
I feel like if I see Lovato compete, I see him mounted or Kimuring somebody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's been Kimuring people forever. Yeah, definitely interesting. So you moved off to Arkansas. What city in Arkansas?
Jackson. Well, the gym is in Sherwood, but I live in Jacksonville, Arkansas.
Jacksonville, Arkansas.
Yeah,
Is it?
just right outside of Little Rock, basically.
Oh, okay. Cool. What's the name of the gym?
Combat Concepts Academy, CCA, basically.
Combat Concepts Academy. Awesome. Well, we're about wrapping up. You got any other discussions here?
Maybe I have some seminars coming up, so keep a lookout for that. I have a few actually. One coming up in Oklahoma City, another in South Padre, and another in Mississippi, hopefully.
If people check this out 6 months, a year in advance, anything besides just when your seminars come up, why don't you drop your Instagram or Facebook or a website or anything like that you'd like to drop too? Sponsors?
So my Instagram is Batman's World, as bat_Man's World, and my Facebook, Kevin Williams, of course, and that's pretty much it.
What's up with the Batman thing?
Batman?
Is you just obsessed with Batman? Because he wears patches, people. He wears the Batman patch. All the kids love it, but he's like serious about it. He wears Batman.
Well, Batman, he's like, to me, the best superhero, because he's like a martial artist.
Not
he doesn't
superhero
He
action.
doesn't have powers. He has hands and his cognitive abilities.
You know, an old guy in a basement that makes some gadgets too, though. No.
Well, that helps too. But like his martial arts training and like how he prepares and overcomes. That's really important.
That's cool. That's cool. I didn't know that. And he's human. He's not.
He's human.
Yeah.
We're all humans.
That's cool. Awesome. So Batman's World, you know, I tag him a lot. You guys check out his highlights. Check out AGF, AmericanGrapplingFederation.com for any of the future tournaments. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for listening if you're listening. Otherwise, we will see you at the next AGF. Perfect.